Now, here's probably the most common misconception about the Roth IRA. It is a completely separate investment vehicle with no ties to your 401k. All right. So let's talk about the eligibility to open a Roth IRA. Anyone can actually open a Roth IRA as long as they're at least 18 years old. And if you're under the age of 18, then you need to have your parents open what's called a custodial Roth IRA for you. And regardless of your age, you just need to have an earned income in the year you want to contribute to your Roth IRA. If you have a teenager working at a fast food restaurant, your teenager can contribute to their custodial Roth IRA, and you as a parent will need to oversee the custodial Roth IRA until your children become 18. And you can even contribute on behalf of your child as long as that child has an earned income. All right. And if you're over the age of 18, you still need to have an earned income to be eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA. The other exception is if you and your spouse are filing your taxes jointly and only one of you has an earned income. So if you have a job, but your spouse is a stay-at-home parent or spouse, your stay-at-home spouse can open what's called a spousal Roth IRA to contribute the same amount to the Roth IRA as long as you have a joint household income. But as far as the eligibility to contribute directly to the Roth IRA, there are income limits set by the IRS. The reason they set a income limit is that Senator Roth at the time in Congress did not want rich people to shelter money in a tax-free retirement account. Obviously, it didn't work out so well because they found a tax loophole called a backdoor Roth IRA, which I'll talk about later on. But the bottom line is that anyone can open a Roth IRA, but to directly contribute to the Roth IRA, you need to be under the IRS income limits. And keep in mind that the income limits do change every year to adjust for inflation. And assuming that you are under the IRS income limits, here's how the contribution works. You have a checking account or a savings account where your W-2 income comes in after you pay your taxes to the government. So the IRS automatically assumes that the money in your checking account is in after-tax dollars. So when you make a transfer from your checking account to your Roth IRA, this process is called an after-tax contribution. Every dollar you put into your Roth IRA is already taxed, so the government can't tax you again, right? And that money, it just sits in the money market fund inside your Roth IRA. So this is a very common mistake people make. Once you make that transfer to your Roth IRA, there's another step that you have to take. And because that money is just sitting in a money market fund that pays you very little interest, it is not yet invested. So the next step is to invest that money in stocks, index funds, ETFs, or something that is going to grow your money. Did I already mention that your investments will grow tax-free? I probably did. But well, when that money is fully invested in your Roth IRA with an index fund or some kind of investment, then it's going to generate what's called interest and earnings. So if you contribute $7,000 to your Roth IRA and the earnings generate $500, then that $500 is going to be your earnings, right? And it is very important that you memorize these two words: contributions and earnings. Contributions are the dollars you already pay taxes on from your checking account. Earnings are what you grew or what grew from those dollars you contributed to the investments. You have to keep track of how much you contributed to your Roth IRA every single year, because you can actually take out what you contributed to the Roth IRA at any time. Not that I recommend it, but what you can't take out is your earnings and interest until you turn 59 and a half. So your Roth IRA can start to grow tax-free every single year. And every dollar you earn in your Roth IRA can also become tax-free when you turn 59 and a half. Again, before you turn 59 and a half, the only money you can take out in your Roth IRA is your contributions. But if you take the earnings out of your Roth IRA, then you would owe a 10% penalty, federal income tax, and state income tax if that's applicable to you. Your Roth IRA is a very powerful investment vehicle because of the tax-free growth, and that's why it is something you need to prioritize after the 401k employer match every single year until your retirement. But what if you are above the Roth IRA income limit? You cannot directly contribute to the Roth IRA if you're above the income limit, but you can do what's called a backdoor Roth IRA. A lot of people don't understand the backdoor Roth IRA, because it can be very somewhat complicated. So let me give you the complete breakdown here, right? So between January 1st, 2024 and April 15, 2025, the contribution limit for your Roth IRA, if you're under the age of 50, is going to be $7,000. That's right. You have until the tax deadline to make the Roth IRA contributions or the backdoor Roth IRA conversion. The catch-up contribution limit for those over the age of 50 is an extra $1,000. So in 2024, you'll be able to contribute up to a total of $8,000. The income phase-out range for taxpayers making contributions to a Roth IRA is between $146,000 and $161,000 for single individuals and heads of household. And if you're married and filing your taxes jointly, the income phase-out range is between $230,000 and $240,000. And if you're married and filing your taxes separately, the income phase-out range is not subject to the annual cost of living adjustment. So it will always be between $0 and $10,000 unless Congress decides to make an amendment to change something in the future. But I will be sure to post any updates on this channel, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't done it already. So if your modified adjusted gross income is less than $146,000 a year in the tax year 2024, you can directly contribute to your Roth IRA up to $7,000 or $8,000 if you're over the age of 50. That makes sense so far, right? But if your modified adjusted gross income is between $146,000 and $161,000, then you can only partially contribute to your Roth IRA, and the rest of the amount will have to be a backdoor Roth IRA. And if you make more than $161,000 a year, then you cannot directly contribute to your Roth IRA at all. The entire amount will have to be done through a backdoor Roth IRA. And if you're married and filing your taxes jointly with a spouse covered by a retirement plan at work, if your combined modified adjusted gross income is less than $230,000 a year, you can make a direct contribution to your Roth IRA and your spouse's Roth IRA, right? The partial contribution happens between $230,000 and $240,000. And if you make more than $240,000, then you have to do a backdoor Roth IRA for the entire amount. By the way, I am so fired up to announce the launch of my private FIRE community for people just like you and me who are passionate about investing, saving, and achieving financial independence and exploring different possibilities to retire early. My private community will allow you to connect with me on the platform and get in touch with other like-minded individuals or couples who are just as serious as you are with the FIRE movement. As a member of my private community, you'll get resources like investing, saving, paying off debt, or finding the right place to grow your money. For a very limited time, please enjoy the free trial by clicking the link in the description below. And this is how a backdoor Roth IRA works for people above the Roth IRA income limits. You still have your checking account where you normally make after-tax contributions directly to your Roth IRA. And this one is slightly different because you're adding an extra step to the backdoor Roth IRA process. Instead of transferring money from your checking account to your Roth IRA, you would transfer it to your traditional IRA instead. And I would highly recommend that you open a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA with the same broker. So if you already have a Roth IRA with Vanguard, then open a traditional IRA with Vanguard. So the traditional IRA income limit for non-deductible contributions as a single individual is at least $83,000. If you're married and filing your taxes jointly with a workplace retirement plan, the income limit is $143,000. And if you're married and filing your taxes jointly, but you're not covered by a workplace retirement plan, then the income limit is $240,000. You have to make sure the contributions you make to your traditional IRA are considered non-deductible or in after-tax dollars. You want the transfer to happen as soon as possible, and you don't want to invest what you put in the traditional IRA until it gets moved to the Roth IRA. That makes sense so far, right? And once that money you transfer from your checking account to your traditional IRA is settled, then the next step is to make a transfer from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. This step I just described is what's called a backdoor Roth IRA conversion. You just made an account transfer of after-tax dollars from your traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. This is what's called a non-deductible conversion. So this process is not taxable, assuming that you don't have any existing balance in your traditional IRA. So with the contribution limits in mind, if you're under the age of 50, you can contribute up to that amount throughout the tax year. And remember, the tax year is between January 1st and April 15th, or the next tax deadline. So if you're over the age of 50, don't forget about the catch-up contribution too. And whether you lump sum invest or dollar cost average your IRA conversion, this is not a taxable event because that non-deductible contribution you made to your traditional IRA is considered after-tax dollars. I can't emphasize that enough, that the IRS cannot legally tax you twice on your retirement, but you have to make sure that you file an IRS Form 8606 to identify your traditional IRA contribution as non-deductible, okay? And here's what people forget to do, and that's to actually invest. Once the money is inside a Roth IRA, there are countless stories about how people do steps 1 to 9 and then completely forget to do step 10 and leave them wondering why the money hasn't grown at all, right? But what if you have an existing balance in your traditional IRA, right? Then I actually don't recommend doing a backdoor Roth IRA conversion until you take one additional step, because you're gonna trigger what's called a Pro-Rata Rule and you'll end up owing federal income tax if you don't do it right. So let me explain how it works. Let's say you have $50,000 in pre-tax dollars in your traditional IRA that you rolled over from, let's say, your old 401k, 403b, or TSP, and you decide to make a backdoor Roth IRA conversion of $7,000 in after-tax dollars, right? And when you move this $7,000 into this traditional IRA, now you have a mix of pre-tax dollars and after-tax dollars. And when you make a transfer of $7,000 from your traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, you're gonna trigger the Pro-Rata Rule because the IRA is not going to segregate what's pre-tax and what's after-tax. So in the traditional IRA, you have $57,000 total, with $50,000 in pre-tax dollars and $7,000 in after-tax dollars for the backdoor Roth IRA. So when you divide $7,000 by $57,000, that's gonna be 12.3% in after-tax dollars. And when you divide $50,000 by $57,000, that's gonna be 87.7% in pre-tax dollars. So when you make the $7,000 conversion from the traditional IRA to the Roth IRA, 87.7% of that $7,000 or $6,139 will become taxable income. And the remaining $861 will not be taxable because the Pro-Rata Rule will say it is in after-tax dollars. So assuming that you're above the income limits with a 24% marginal tax rate, you could owe almost $1,500 in federal income tax for that portion of the conversion. I would not like that, right? You could also owe almost $2,000 if you're in the 32% marginal tax rate, assuming that you have a $50,000 pre-tax balance in your traditional IRA and make a $7,000 after-tax backdoor conversion. So in order to fix this, this is where the extra step comes in. You'll have to move those $50,000 in pre-tax dollars out of your traditional IRA to avoid the pro-rata being triggered every time or every year you do the backdoor Roth IRA conversion. You can move those $50,000 to your traditional 401k, 403b, 457, or TSP, whoever you're employed with currently. You're not gonna be taxed on the rollover as long as you move it from traditional to traditional. Once that money is out of your IRA, then you can do the backdoor Roth conversion without worrying about the Pro-Rata Rule triggering a taxable event. And just don't forget to take the final step to invest in something that is going to help you achieve financial independence and retire early. This is crucial because a lot of people end up forgetting to invest, and that's very, very unfortunate. The other important thing that you need to remember is that every dollar you invest inside your Roth IRA is going to grow tax-free. You can take out your contributions at any time, tax-free and penalty-free. But you have to remember until you turn 59 and a half to withdraw the earnings and interest that grew inside your Roth IRA, right? So do not forget to invest. And when you do a backdoor Roth IRA conversion, you cannot touch your money for 5 years. Now that's a different rule. So if you make the conversion in the year 2024, do your backdoor Roth IRA conversion this year, then you can't take that money out until the year 2029. You have to understand these rules before you start investing.